Okay, so you got no number in front of the parenthesis, and you're panicking because you're like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say that's negative 4k, and that's negative 24. And the small error that's going on there, two small errors. Number one, that's a 4. It's not a negative 4. You can't just take the minus sign and plop it with the 4. 4 minus is not the same thing as negative 4. Those are two different things, right? And two, the distributive property, the thing with the parentheses, only works when you have the thing directly in front. That's what we should be connecting the rainbows to, not that 4. So if you really want to make those little arc rainbowy things, they start with this because that's what's directly in front of that parenthesis. So I'm going to show you what I mean. That minus sign connects to that. That minus sign connects to that. And that 4 comes along for the ride. Nothing changes there. So that part makes sense. Maybe, like, what do you do with that now, right? So remember, a minus sign means opposite. So what kind of k we have here is positive. So positive with a negative makes a negative k. The other way that you can think about that is if you don't like that there's information missing, you can put a number there. The only number, I shouldn't say the only number, there's only two numbers that make sense here. When a number isn't there and it's supposed to be there, it's either a 0 or it's a 1. And in this case, there's that minus just chilling out. That minus sign is really with a -1. So if it helps you to put a -1 in there, you can totally do that. No penalty there. So -1 times k is negative 1k. If you want to write the -1 there, you totally can. Or you can just write negative k. And then we'll do the same thing. -1 times a positive 6 is -6. And then the rest of the problem equals -8. Okay? So now it should look a little familiar, and you're like, okay, there's a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to do this in, I don't know, maybe the kid kind of way. Some kids might be like, oh, there's a -6 there. So I'm going to add 6 to this side, and I'm going to add 6 to this side. Totally fine. You can do that. -8 plus 6 is -2. 6 and -6 together makes a 0. So this part disappears, and you're left with that 4 minus k. Now you're like, okay, k is with that 4. So now I got to undo that 4. So I'm going to undo a 4 with a -4. And now I've got -2 minus 4. So that's -6. On the other side, the 4's cancel each other out. And you might be tempted to write k equals -6 and call it a day. But that's actually an error. Right thinking. I know why kids do that. But remember, the 4's together produce a 0. 4 minus 4. But if I cover that up, what's really left over there is a minus k, and you can't leave that minus alone. Or like you can't leave that minus sign out. So it comes along for the ride. And now it's the same kind of thing. K isn't by itself. It's got that minus sign. But remember, there's a number that's hanging out there. So again, just like we had here, when there's a number that's not there and it's supposed to be there, you can think about it as a -1. And now again, be very careful here. The connection between that -1 and the k is not subtraction. I know that it looks like subtraction because it's got like a minus sign there, but the connection is multiplication, and we undo multiplication with division. And we're going to divide by what we don't want with the k, which is that -1. So now -1 divided by -1 is a +1. So that's a +1k without the 1 written there. -6 divided by -1 is 6, and that's my answer. So short story here is that whenever you see numbers with a minus sign in front of a parenthesis, remember to think about it as a -1, and that's the number you're multiplying, not the number in front. The thing directly in front of the parentheses, not the thing like way out in front. Okay? Hope that helps.